The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome to Last Call, where the spirits are high, the host is too, at least he will be after the spirits start flowing, and we always have a chaser of good conversation about an interesting topic. And do we have an interesting topic tonight? We've actually been talking a lot about the strike, or strikes as it might be, over the various entertainment industry sectors, and all of our information about what's going on is biased at least, and incomplete for certain. Well, while bias may be inescapable, we aim to address the latter tonight because our special guest bartender has a unique perspective on the situation in that he actually has multiple perspectives. As an actor, writer, director, and producer in Hollywood today, Tom Konkle is going to shed some light and answer some of our questions about what's going on. So top off your glasses and settle in. Tell me what you're sipping on in the chat and get ready with your questions. We'll jump right into it right after this. Last week, Netta and I celebrated our 31st wedding anniversary live on her Thursday Things stream, and we shared a bottle of wine gifted to us by Lester San Jose. Tonight, I want to thank Lester, and that's what I'm sipping on tonight. It's called Cherry on Top, and it's a California sweet red dessert wine. Thank you, Lester, for the wine and the kind anniversary toast. If you want to buy me a drink for an upcoming last call, the link is in the description and pinned to the top of the chat. Grazie e salute. Salute. Yeah, welcome. I am going to jump right into it tonight, everybody. No song tonight, Lester San Jose. I owe you a song, but our time is limited, and I definitely want to get into it as quickly as possible, but I also don't want to ignore the panel and chat. So let's start with this guy over here, Age of Boomer. Age of Boomer, welcome, my designated driver. How are you doing, my friend, and what are you sipping on tonight?
I'm doing fine. I got myself a Coke.
Fair enough. You're the designated driver. And Netter, my wife of 31 years, 1 week. How are you doing and what are you sipping on, sweetheart?
I'm doing great, sweetie, and I am sipping on a clear American blackberry lemonade water.
Which I will probably be having one of those waters as soon as I'm done with this bottle over here.
No, then you just get black cherry water.
Well, I'll get the black cherry water.
There's a theme
That's
there,
right,
cherry, get it?
And of course, my returning guest, I say that like he's some kind of peer or whatever, but I still get all fanboy about him. Tom Konkle of the real deal with Tom Konkle here on YouTube. But if I was to go into his IMDb, we'd be here all night. We don't have time for that. So check out his IMDb. But how are you doing tonight, Tom? And what are you sipping on?
Doing great, Troy. You know, that black cherry sounds really good. I'm sipping on just water right now.
That's fine.
That's fine. Join you. Yeah, I'm doing great. And Age Boomer, Netter, just really glad to be here. It's been an interesting couple of months I'd love to chat with you about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We will definitely be getting into all that and probably much more. Yeah. But what I want to do, Tom, is I want to introduce you to our chat. Now, I'm sure that everyone in our chat is already aware of you because I talk about you enough on this channel. But just in case, give you an opportunity to meet every single one of them. So D. Pensek says, I bet some Kraken would put an end to the strike. Well, we'll find out next week because I'll be drinking some Kraken that you bought for me next week.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, this is part of the concept and the conceit behind the channel, right? We took some of the greatest moments in history. The American Revolution, for example, started out in a pub with a bunch of thinkers talking about their grievances, drinking, and then deciding to take action, right? And that's kind of the thought behind,
Pubs were think tanks, Troy. Let's face it.
Exactly. That's
you
exactly.
You relax, you exchange of ideas, and you get all peaked, and you start brainstorming. It's kind of a natural, release of just all these ideas. And it's always been, pubs and you meet with your friends and you come up with stuff. And I think that's really the first think tank.
I can't remember what it was, but during the Obama administration, he wanted to get two sides together to sit and talk over beers or something like that. And I know that's just politics and window dressing and whatnot, but the idea is still very sound.
Yeah,
it's
a very sound idea. There's a book about Lincoln called A Team of Rivals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever seen this book, but he would always get people with very different ideas in there, and they would go at it, maybe a social setting or something, and some great idea might come out of it. So
absolutely,
there's something to this, and Last Call is just an extension of that.
Thank you. You get the idea behind the stream. Thank you so much. Totally. CK of Continuum Chronicles is going to be a future guest on Netter's channel. He's just starting up this particular channel, Continuum Chronicles, but we will talk about him and all of his channels in a couple of weeks. Welcome, my friend. Let's see, Connie Cleary. Hello and salud.
Hello all. Hello, chat.
Evelyn Hampton. Good evening, everyone. I'm sipping on an Arnold Palmer. Yep. That's iced tea and lemonade. It sounds like a classy cocktail, but it's really for the teetotalers and actually really good. Netter drinks that a lot too. And of course, Netter is dropping the links. Links, as everyone knows, links are below. Follow The Real Deal with Tom Konkle for some great content that we will talk about more later. Also, there's a link to his webpage for his film, his independent film, Trouble Is My Business. You can see it for free on YouTube and actually a bunch of other different streaming services.
By ads now, it's you can get it uninterrupted, of course, on Amazon and other places, or if you buy a Blu-ray, you can see it uninterrupted. The other way you try and recoup your expenses is places that have ads like Tubi TV. It's on Pluto TV right now.
Right.
NBC channel. Here on my channel on YouTube, you can see it in black and white, which is how I wanted it to be seen. And
we did a watch party of it here on my channel with, so whatever stream you're watching it on, you can sync it up with our rewatch. Hear the commentary by the
absolutely
actor, star, director, producer, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
But you should also do like I did, own the physical media so that you always have it and they can never take it away, because you never know when those streams may decide.
Yeah, when you stream, you don't own it, and at any time that license goes away, it's like I always say, it's like they go by your library and just go boop, and it's gone.
Exactly. And I own,
if you go up to Canada, there may not be rights. So anything you buy and then you try and play it, you can't watch it because the rights change on it all the time. So physical media is the only way to own it. Yeah.
Speaking of Canada, welcome Script Doctor. See, this is what happens. I get the big stars on my channel and they bring out, other big stars.
He's a star, right? We've written, 3 scripts together, 3 features together now.
That is... I'll tell you something. Script Doctor is the reason. Well, of course, I follow him on YouTube, but I also follow a lot of other channels because Script Doctor is on those channels a lot.
Right. Yeah, he's
and
a great
he is a brilliant. And I've said this before. Between you and Script Doctor, following you guys on social media is like a masterclass in writing. And
yeah, we love it. Yeah.
Sometimes you guys will say stuff and it will trigger something in my mind where I go, I kind of knew that, but I couldn't put it into words. You expressed what I was feeling about that script, that movie, this concept or whatever.
Exactly. So, you get immersed in it, and there's so many levels. Good writing, or I strive to write well every time I do it, and I learn, spectacular failures and successes you learn, but good writing is about having layers. You revisit it because you're different every time you watch something or read something. You've changed, so you get something new out of it. But in the writing, if you've put thought into it, and certainly we do put it in levels, you should be able to revisit, and you find little symbols. Like I was telling you, even with the globe, like in Trouble, it's like the globe upside down is this world being turned upside down in the background. But that's written into the script. Those levels, when we're writing something and there's descriptive passages, we call it the slug.
Right.
So like exterior, this thing. You think of what's there as a symbolic thing or as a metaphysical sort of extension of the character, or you try and drop little things in there that you want to have the audience enjoy it on another level.
Exactly. And you know what, Chad, I will get back to you, but I do want to, because we're on this slight tangent, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. The movies that we watch, a lot of the people in this community were very geeky, were very into genre type stuff, and one of the big things these big studios like to do is they like to squeeze in Easter eggs. Yes. And my biggest and some people say, well, that's just fan service. Other people say no. And I've come to a realization about that. You're talking about layers. Mm-hmm. If you are going to do an Easter egg, okay, right. And I'll give an example to show the difference. An Easter egg is fan service. It does get the fans going, I noticed that thing, right. Okay? But it also has to have a purpose. There's story there. So Indiana Jones, for example, if you see something in the background that references back to another movie, it is an Easter egg, but it is also logical in that world. This last Indiana Jones film, I'm going to give a shout out to another YouTuber that I talk about a lot, Michael French from Retro Blasting, pointed this out. In this last movie, there's a picture of Marion on his refrigerator, and it's actually a picture of the actress from a behind the scenes of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And he says, the scene is, he's broken up with his wife. He doesn't want to look at her, but he takes the magnet and covers her face, right? Right. And Michael made a great point. He's like, when was this picture taken? How was this picture taken? You can see by the blouse that this is during this time, during Raiders of the Lost Ark. Who was there with a camera that took a picture of her just before this action sequence? And then, it doesn't make sense, Whereas what would have made more sense would have been maybe and I thought this. What if it had been a picture from... what was the Crystal Skull after they got married, and it was a picture of the two of them,
like a wedding picture,
right? But folded up with cutting off himself because he doesn't want to look at himself. He's got a picture of his ex-wife on because he wants to see her. That tells even more story.
That's true. It's a picture from the wrong period, and there wouldn't have been anyone in that moment to take that
exactly picture. And I feel that too many studios, too many creators today that are making the big bucks, don't think these things through. They're like, oh, throw in an Easter egg, it'll make the fans happy, instead of, yes, but it's got to mean something. And what am I saying? You're telling a whole story with just a little Easter egg, Right. I mean, and you should. That's good storytelling.
That is good storytelling, and it varies thematically. It varies something in the story that for you to find, for you to do the work and kind of make what I call the connective tissue.
Yes,
kind of connect it together.
Exactly.
I totally. One of the most elegant, simple things I've ever seen that just opened up so many things in my head when I was a kid is I had just seen Blade Runner, and I noticed the screen on the ship when they're purging and getting ready to land is the exact screen from the spinner in Alien, and in Blade Runner, the spinner in Blade Runner has that same screen as the spacecraft in Alien.
Yeah.
So from there I went, these are the off-world people. This is
right.
Colony thing.
We've had conversations about how that establishes, the connected universe without it being a connected universe.
Exactly. No one says anything, but I was like, there's no way he could have had any graphic in the world. I was like, that's pretty brilliant because it implies in one shot there may be a connection between the two. And I was like, oh, that was pretty good. Yeah. Someone had to make the effort to do that.
You okay?
Yeah. Can you double check your mic and make sure you're using the right mic and you're not coming through the camera instead of your mic?
Let's see. Are you hearing this?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, I am. Okay, that's good.
It might be fine. It might be fine.
Okay, good. So real quick, I wanted to get back and say hi to the rest of the chat. So Sir Torin Cleane, I'm glad you made it back. Glad you could be here. Matanui, good to see you, my friend. Gorilla Random Thought says Kapla from stormy southern Minnesota. See, I can't say Kapla if I don't say it in a Klingon accent. Can't say Minnesota without that accent. So it's just the way it is, right? Big Al presents. Be looking forward to hanging out with you tomorrow night on your channel. Final Fantasy Fan 012. Hello, good to see you. And Lester San Jose. Thanks so much, my friend. You got a song coming in a future stream, I promise you.
Good to see all of you. Yeah.
Let's see. You will be sipping on that whether or not it cuts you off. Yeah, exactly. And this is why. See, I was, I figured he would know better than I would because I'm not as technically minded as a lot of y'all. And Deleted Scenes, I saw that you had a comment earlier. Thanks for being here. I know that it can sometimes be a challenge for you with your new work schedule. You are awesome. Joshua V, good to see you, my friend. And Tommy, the Guinea Pig Collective. Make sure you're following everybody here. I know that Deleted Scenes is dropping all of the links for everybody. Please follow each other. And we are caught up. I will say hi to...
Did you say hi to Joshua V?
I did say hi to Joshua V. So we are caught up on the chat, and you're introduced to all of them. We will say hi as they come in. But so Tom,
yes,
for, like I said, the one person who might be here who might not know you from this channel already and from so many other things, you want to give us the 40,000 foot overview, just for spits and giggles?
I have been doing this a while. I've been an actor, writer, and director here in the LA area for about 27 years. I have a feature out called Trouble Is My Business.
Yes, you do. Links in the description, everybody.
Links in the description there. I've been in a bunch of shows. Really lucky. Have a lot of credits. What
was that horror film that you were in last year?
Oh, Noise in the Middle. Yeah.
Noise in the Middle. Yeah.
Yeah, we filmed up in the Northwest, and the Horror Network just picked it up. I think I put a link to it.
You did, and I shared it out, and I said, look, guys, it's available out there for free. Go watch it. There is no excuse for not watching it, unless you're not a horror fan, in which case just fast forward until Tom Konkle is on screen. He's not in any scary scenes.
I'm in the least horrific part, right?
Exactly. Yeah, almost kind of almost a comedy relief kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It started off that I may be the doctor in it who was looking at the girl, but then playing with that character, and they were like, "Oh man, you're like the dude, from Big Lebowski." And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of love this guy." So the more we developed him, we found out a way that he could give all the information that you kind of needed to know about the characters and the story, but he could still be this entertaining guy. So I started adding bits to it and coming up with my own little stuff that he was doing, and just everything got kind of left in. So I got to play and be this guy that I just loved, and now he's the person that, when you visited, one time I saw it in the theater, we were doing a premiere, and the casting lady just comes up to me and she's like, "I love that guy." It's like, "You're my favorite character." And I was like, I'm the least likely to be in that horror film, but yeah, he
right.
Worked.
No, Gorilla Random Thoughts, it's not what I'd call a slasher film. It's more of a ghost story type of thing.
Ghost story.
Yeah. And honestly, and I think we've talked about this before, Tom, but comedy and horror I feel kind of go hand in hand. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that that timing is everything in both, and it's very similar in the way that it plays on your funny bone as well as your scary nerves, you know.
Yeah, it's also the only two genres that your body has a primal reaction to. You actually have something that's out of control. The laugh, the burst of a laugh,
yep,
and the jump scare are two reactions that genre alone. Comedy is the release of tension, and horror is the building up of tension, and both of them end with some kind of a reaction in your body. Either it's like the jump, or you're like, or I feel anxious, or in a comedy you're like, oh, this is great, and you laugh. It's the release of that, and I think they are very married together. If you're good at comedy, I think you can do drama because of the timing, but also horror because horror has those musical beats the way comedy does.
Agreed, absolutely. Deleted Scene says parts of noise in the middle remind me of The Shining. Yes. That's something I didn't pick up on my first viewing of it, but you are right. And it's that psychological element to it.
Yeah, the place itself that they're in is almost a character, and it's got this kind of haunting, edgy, it just puts you on edge, and you feel for the father because he's getting irritated and doesn't want to get irritated, but he's starting to get really strange, and he's got this vulnerable girl, his daughter with him. And so, it's got that unnerving quality of The Shining where you felt like the place was part of the problem.
Yep. So definitely check that out. Like I said, it's another one you can see for free. But I encourage everybody, if you like it that much, go ahead and get it. Go ahead and buy the physical media. This brings up something I wanted to touch on with you. You are awesome about, as an artist, wanting to get your work out there to be seen. So you have a great deal of your content that's available for free.
Yeah.
But this is also why I feel it's so important. Everybody, if you've enjoyed something like that for free, you kind of owe it to the artists involved in it to support it. Own it. Physically own it. Because
stuff not to hang it in the closet,
Because, and this leads me into my little economics 101 lesson for you all today. Do you know, Tom and Age Boomer and Netter?
What?
Go back to the days of newspapers, physical newspapers, the paper that you'd hold in front of you in the morning, right?
I remember those.
Do you know why you would go to the newsstand and pay a quarter, $1, whatever for that paper?
I know.
When it was actually paid for by all the advertisements inside of it. Do you know why? Tell me, Aged Boomer.
Well, I would pay a quarter instead of. Well, wait a minute. I thought you just mentioned that the advertisements were paying for a lot of.
Yes, the paper is paid for by those advertisements. Yes. Why do they not give it out for free? I know you know, Netter, but let's let Agent Boomer finish.
Well, I worked for a newspaper at one point. So I would say that the reason behind that is perhaps in case the advertisers pull away.
I suppose there's something
down
to
here, which happened during the housing bust and lots
of yeah, and they weren't. Yeah, well, that's true.
And I'll say this too. It doesn't. It used to cost a quarter, then it'll be 2 quarters, or it's very complicated, especially those Sundays.
I will address that too.
Sure.
Netter, why do they charge you the quarter, the 35 cents, the $1.25?
Because if they gave it to you for free, it wouldn't have any perceived value.
Perceived value, exactly. If you could get it for free, what prevents you from going and getting a newspaper, reading it, and then on your way home getting another one, and then getting another one when you get off the bus at home, and then using it to line your kitty litter box and your bird cage, and
nothing given has any value, right? That's the line from Star Trek.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's the perceived. It's the perceived value, and that's what I try to get across to people in this concept of owning physical media. Look, there's a lot of people out there that like yourself, putting out just because you want to get it out there. If you appreciate it, then buy it. But and I say that in inverted quotes, but buy it so you own it, and then no one can ever take it away from you, and you have now supported the artists involved in that. And believe me, we're gonna be getting more into this concept because that's our main topic tonight. But at the same time, and this is why I say this about, for example, the YouTube channel, your YouTube channel, and we were talking about this in the green room. For a little while there, your channel was demonetized.
That's right.
Because
they didn't think that I had the rights to Tom Konkle stuff. They flagged my own movie. They flagged one of my series, and I literally had to send in a thing going, "That's my name, like in them. That's me. I made it. I produced it. I did it." It took me 6 months, I think it was. You helped me get people back on there and get it, because the minute it got demonetized, then the views and things went down. And
exactly.
So it's a vicious cycle of, okay, well, now you're demonetized, but you lost your subscribers, so you're not eligible anymore.
And I would say that a big part of that is the way YouTube does things with, robots, with AI, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't engage, there's no brain engaged, automatic something happens, and you needed to get a human being involved to look at it. Then getting you back up and running, we needed to get your watch hours up again.
Yep.
And it was like, why are your watch hours not up? And I was sharing with you about some troll that I ran into on the internet saying, well, Tom's a nice guy, but he doesn't put out enough content. And it's like, do you know how much content there is on that channel? Yeah. You could literally go and start watching it 24 hours, just let it play, and it would still be going for days.
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing. I mean, obviously, if I could, I would put out stuff all the time of that level. But you can't shoot a movie every week. You can't shoot sketches every week, unfortunately. At least in my world. But to your point, you've been super supportive and articulated kind of what I've been trying to say, which is, I don't, need a lot of money. All I need is somebody to go, you know what? I enjoyed this. Here's a little endorsement of it, because these do take time and money to make. Or gotta eat. It's the worst creative space is to be like in survival mode.
Right.
So people have gotten very used to getting things free, on YouTube and that's, which is all great. But there is something that has to pay for the party, or something where you just can't do it anymore. There's always invisible hands that are paying for stuff, or artists are getting paid in some way. And so you're absolutely right. Even a token thing, joining my channel, that money gets pumped into, like that sketch I just put up, the Sounds of Silence sketch.
Right.
I had to go rehearse it, do props, do a couple things like that. It costs money.
Right.
So your endorsement, as a subscriber, that stuff just goes plowed right back into creating stuff, buying some costumes, or editing time, and all the things that you have to do. So you're absolutely right. There's a balance. I always say with my stuff, you don't have to please everybody, just enough people.
Right.
And knowing where to go. Or it's like, there's a thing I have, a buy me a cup of coffee. It's like, you go buy me a cup of coffee for $10. It actually pays dividends, because then I'm like, you know what? I want to do another radio show. Let's rehearse some people. Let's get I'll buy some better music. Let's get some better stuff.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, this is, as a little tiny YouTuber that's not even monetized yet, which is why I'm so amazed when you're willing to come on a channel like mine that's reaching such a small audience.
You've been exactly, you're like the perfect supporter of what I do, and I'm grateful. That's why I'm here.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much. But at the same time, that is one of the things I'll respond to people when they are critical. It's like, I saw you laugh. I saw you laugh when my little AI voice came on for the disclaimer, and it's like, he's gonna want to bring this up when we start talking AI or whatnot. But it's like, look, I got no money coming in here. I got to do what I got to do to get my channel. I will hire voice actors. I will hire visual artists and stuff if I can. Until then, I got to get my story out there.
Yeah.
But which is exactly why I have such a problem with the big channel, and we'll get to that too. but yeah, I did catch that. I did see you in the background too.
I caught that. Yeah.
And yeah, some of my chat has commented on the AI voices too. But you do what you got to do. And so when I get some negative comments on some of my videos about, oh yeah, that's it's like, look, I would hire an editor. I would hire a writer. I would hire what. I am not monetized. If there's the link, if you want to contribute,
that would allow you to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
And I should probably start a Patreon myself. I have some issues with Patreon as an entity, but as a concept, I think it's well named. I love the idea of Patreon because you think about where that comes from in the history of a wealthy individual being the patron for the arts because they enjoyed some content, and that's why we have so much of the art, the classical art that we have today, is because of that.
Yeah, because it's nice to have some kind of a base to work from. You can't. You want to entertain people. And if it's good, it's almost like magic. It's like, oh, you just did this thing, it just came out. And you just did this. But so many hours, so much spent, so much time, which is also money, is spent to create it. And you just want to entertain people. But there needs to be that support system because you can't be looking around all day like, what am I going to do? How am I going to eat? And then go, oh, by the way, I'm going to make a movie tonight.
Yeah.
You've got to find a balance. No one's looking to get super rich here. I'm just looking for a consistent, have an idea on Monday, be able to do it on Friday kind of thing, where you have the resources to go, all right, man, I'm going to pick up some music. I'm going to write with somebody. I'm going to hire a guy to do this voice. I'm going to hire an artist to do my logo. I mean, these are simple things, but they all cost money. And
absolutely.
If you want steady output, it starts to add up.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So when it comes to Last Call, it's all this guy, Yeah, I've got a guy for that. It's an old, fat, bald Italian guy. That's the guy I employ to do all this. But no, that's exactly it. So you know what? I think that's a great pivot point into our main topic tonight, especially because I know your time is so precious. So we are talking about, and I have to call it the strikes, plural. Because we do have the writers on strike, we have the actors on strike. I don't know if there's any other players involved.
The Directors Guild was on strike, but I think they settled. But
okay,
no more than I would.
But they're not working because they need writers and actors.
Yes.
Excellent point. So there is a synergy. I've heard some commenters. And I don't know how you feel about this. By all means, don't even comment on it if you feel it would compromise your position. But the idea that the writers and the actors being in synchronicity on the one hand is a good thing for collective bargaining, but there's a lot of actors out there saying some pretty harsh things that hurt them in the sphere of public opinion, which in turn is kind of hurting the writers too. So there's a little bit of give and take on that. But then again, we also have the big studios and the CEOs of these studios making some pretty stupid public comments too. I didn't say it, but we have talked about it on Geeky Geezers, though. It's true. And the thing that I said about this, and again, you don't have to agree with me if it would compromise you, but Bob Iger saying that, I said, look, even if you agree with him, that is not something you say publicly. That is something you say in private over the negotiation table. Yeah, you don't say that in public.
Not if it's your business partner and that's the person that you work with. You're like, oh, great. Now I know I'm going back to work with somebody who was okay with saying, yeah, let his kids starve or let him lose his apartment. Then he'll take what I give him. It makes you a little cooler when you walk into a meeting and want to please them, or give them something. And remember, this is a guy who, regardless of a movie getting made or a TV show being made, he gets paid his $27 million no matter what. That's every year. So I could live on that 1 year forever, but
right.
Years. So you even go, oh well, look at Leonardo DiCaprio. He made 15 million. Yeah, that's once on one movie. Bob, meantime, every single year was making 27 plus million.
That brings up another good point that I've made on previous streams, but I feel needs to be reiterated now. We look at the celebrities that we admire in films, and I say in films because they're the ones in front of us. You think of these actors. You don't think about the writers. You don't usually think about the directors. You just think about the pretty faces you see on the screen.
Right.
And you think, I see them in so many things. They're rich. Well, maybe they are rich by comparison to you. But the reality is, if you were to walk a mile in their shoes, they may not be as wealthy as you think. Fame does not equal fortune. I have met and known so many people that I thought were, just Hollywood royalty, only to find out they're living in a 2-bedroom apartment. They don't have a great deal of cash, and they're going to things like conventions and whatnot, asking you to pay $15, $20 for an autograph. That's kind of what they're living on.
Tori Spelling apparently isn't doing so hot.
The vast majority of actors, and again, you're in an appearance. You just said you see their face. We are the delivery system of whatever was created. But they also have to have this appearance of wealth. You don't want your lawyer pulling up in a Yugo. You want your lawyer to pull up in a Mercedes.
Right.
A lot of them are living beyond their means. The other thing, let me break it down for you, Troy. This is the thing that people don't seem to understand. When I get a job, it's usually through an agent. You also have a manager. That agent takes 10% of your salary. Your manager takes 15% of your salary. And in California, 30% goes to taxes. So automatically, if you get paid something for one day, you get about 40% of it.
Yep.
Then you have all the overhead of you. It's on you to get, drive there, get everything you need to do. You're not paid for auditions. You're not.
In a lot of ways, you're thought of as a contractor, right? That's why you.
Kind of contractor. Pretty much. Your job is to look around, drive around, and your reward is that you get to do your craft. But you have to be available for your craft. You have to study the parts. You have to study your craft. You just can't be like, okay, I'm busy doing this. I gotta go. It's like you can't just drop the plumbing you're doing and go do Hamlet.
Right.
So there is so much overhead. Like to make my nut, and I live modestly in the valley. To make my nut and cover it is $6,500 a month.
Yeah.
On just all the expenses, the bills, your mortgage, your car insurance, all the things. My utilities, my gas bill went up to $1,000. I had $1,000 natural gas bill. They tripled it in LA. So our expenses for doing business here are astronomical.
I can't understand why so many people are moving out of California, even those in the industry.
Believe me, I'm here because I take care of my parents as well. I moved them out here when my son was born, so I'm tethered here. But also, this is my job. Like my production company's here. It would be very hard for me to move to the Midwest and be like, well, what do you do? Oh, I direct movies. Okay. It's like, and I'm going to go work at Stuckey's.
Well, that's true. And as a side note, I don't want to cast any shade on any YouTube channels that I also am a huge fan of. But when you hear that Kathleen Kennedy has sold her house and is moving out of California, that doesn't mean necessarily anything. All that means is she's selling her house, moving to another state, and who can blame her for that, whether you like her or not?
It's crazy. So to dispel that, there is 1% that's very rich, but they also have that overhead.
Right.
You've seen a lot of people burn out where you're like, wow, that guy went broke? How is he broke? He had $15 million. Well, you blew through it. You have staff, you have a production company, you have overhead, but just jobbing regular guys like me, we're the same. What's happening to us is what's happening to everybody in the middle class.
Yes.
It's becoming a gig economy.
Yes.
And they want you to pay for your insurance. They don't want to give you any kind of guarantee of work or retirement or anything. They're coming after us right now, but they're coming after you next. And they're coming after the people that we're negotiating with. Then AI CEO is going to be the next thing. That's going to be Bob Iger is going to be an AI. The next time somebody can walk in and go, okay, make me a movie with Brad Pitt and Denzel Washington buddy picture. Go ahead, AI, create that.
Well,
you think Disney's going to be okay?
You make a great point here, and so let's kind of pivot into that AI discussion. Paul Chato has talked about this, and I was kind of saying it independently before I heard him say it, but now I credit him on this, and he was saying that AI and this is the extreme example. This is the absurd example that kind of illustrates it. You have AI write a story. You have AI write a script.
Right.
Oh, I'm echoing on your side.
Oh, he's testing his mic, I think.
Somebody just said it's low.
There we go. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the this concept of having an AI write a story, and then you look at it and you go, hey, that's not that bad. But then you think about it. Is it really not that bad? Or are you just comparing it to what you've seen coming out of Hollywood for the past, 5-6 years? And it's like, yeah, it seems really good because you're comparing it to mediocre to poor writing. But let's face it. I think, because my chat here is above average. They go back and they watch the older films. They do rewatches with us of classics and films that we loved growing up, and realizing they don't make them like that anymore, at the risk of sounding like an aged boomer, for example.
I've been trying. Yeah.
And you realize that is the bar is so low, AI can vault it. But when it comes to things like middle management or even upper management, things, AI is really good because you plug in good data, it can punch out good decisions. If you go, how can I maximize, people coming to see my movie, go. Yeah. And it comes back with, well, maybe you don't piss off everybody and market it by calling large segments of your audience ists and phobes.
Yeah.
Simple, common sense marketing elements. Suddenly you're making good decisions. Yeah, I could see someone like Bob Iger, and I'm sorry. You know what? It's my channel. I can do this. Bob Iger, what is his claim to fame? Okay? He's a professional weather guesser. You know? And that does not make you a good leader. That does not make you CEO material. But he worked the politics.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I mean politics in every sense of the word, to get to where he is. And he's making decisions like a moron who doesn't really know what he's doing. And it's very clear to anybody watching from the sidelines. Look, I'm a Joe Nobody YouTuber who does a workaday job and then comes and records some videos. And I do have some college education, but it has nothing to do with business. But I clearly understand business better than some of these people making decisions. And we sit here and Boomer and I do this all the time. We go, God, if they put us in charge, we could do better. And I'm not saying we're the right choice. Right. I'm just saying we could do better.
Yeah.
The bar is so low.
It's a dangerous thing when you have arrogance, but then a fundamental ignorance of the creative process, but also what your audience wants. When you lose sight of, the customer's always wrong is a really bad place to be. And the problem that I have with so many of these is the disconnect now between you treat your employees like liabilities instead of assets.
Right.
And the audience is your biggest asset. And you need to have a big tent. You can't alienate half of your audience. You can't say, pick a side or you're wrong kind of thing about it, because what ultimately happens is what's happened with Bob Iger. He became a polarizing sort of lightning rod for everything, but everyone pays him so much. There's this, well, he's got to know something. He's got to know. He's got to give a secret. I mean, look how much we're paying him. He's got to know the tricks. He's got to know. He must believe that Kathleen's perfect for this. He must think, oh, let's open Galaxy's Edge. That's a great idea. He must know something about the parks. But what I call is failing upward. You have him fail upward.
Yes.
Decision after decision that costs so much money, but they're Teflon to it because they're like, you'd feel like an idiot. You've been paying him $27 million. You'd have to admit, maybe we were wrong. And
right.
You've been paying him $27 million. So you see him fail upwards throughout this. And that is endemic of the strike. The problem with the strike is, like, again, it's not just actors and writers. They're coming after us right now, but it's all of you and all of your job. At one point, they're going to come to you and go, okay, justify your salary, justify what you're doing. It's like, well, what I do is valuable. I make you money. I'm here to add value to your company, and I'm the face of your company no matter what I do. Yeah, okay. But could 3 people go away and someone could do all 4 of those jobs? Well,
right.
It's exactly what's happened to writers and actors. They have said, well, our business model used to be if Tom did a show and it was on NBC, ABC, CBS, a lot of people saw it. We saw the advertising. So we gave the guy a check because if he walked around and knocked on everyone's door and go, hey, can I do a scene from Friends for you? You'd have to pay the idiot, you know, and I would sit there and I'd entertain you and I loved doing it. Now they went, oh, let's change the model. Let's do this streaming thing. We don't know if anybody's watching it, but it's subscriber based. So they're not really watching your show. They're just subscribing to our service. So in other words, you go to the movie theater and you bought a ticket to AMC, but not a particular movie. So if I've got Jaws coming out, it's no longer a blockbuster because, hey, I could have gone to see Jaws. I could have gone to see My Little Pony. I could have gone to see anything. I just have a generic ticket to a movie theater. So I have a generic ticket to Netflix, generic ticket to Hulu.
Yep.
And then they turn around the artists and go, we don't know. Maybe they watched your thing or not, but you don't have any money for you. Well, wait, I'm on 24/7 in all the countries in the world, and you sent me a check I got one for 17 cents. Yeah, it's less than the postage stamp. How do I live?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I know the corporate mindset. Well, that's not my problem. This is what I'm paying.
Problem, dude. I know you work 10 hours a day doing this thing, but maybe you should get another job.
Yeah, exactly. So here is, and this is where I get. I don't want you to think I brought you on here to justify things I've been saying, but I like to think I'm pretty keyed in. So I do want you to be honest and correct me if I'm wrong. But one of the things I feel like with this, and I think this might be some of the consternation that fans have sitting on the sidelines waiting for whatever show or movie they want, and what's going on, is it feels like we fought this fight before. I bring this up all the time, especially on Geeky Geezers, where we saw, and I want to get the history right, when syndication became a thing, the folks from Gilligan's Island were suing to get residuals. And that's where residuals came from. This idea that, look, you're paying us, it's not just one and done. If you're still making money off of reruns and licensing, then licensing actually came up again when it became action figures, lunchboxes and stuff. And I think the cast of Happy Days fought that fight in court. Yeah. And then licensing becomes a thing. And then we see the same fight being fought over and over again when it became cable TV, when it became home media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It was the actors and the writers and really everyone involved saying, hey, look, you paid us once for this. Now you're making more money from another, another aspect. We deserve a part of that too. And it's like they got to fight the fight over and over and over again. Now streaming is the same fight all over again.
It's cable again. Yeah.
It is. It's like cable all over again with one big difference. One big difference is that it doesn't really bring in more money. Cable was I put it out at the movies. I put it out on home media. I'm still making money off of these things. Now I'm licensing it to HBO and making money off of it. Whereas now, with the way streaming is working, Disney isn't making extra money off of it. They claim they are for the purpose of investment. So they're trying to get the benefit of investment dollars by saying that, but I don't believe the dollars are actually there when you really look, you didn't get more, you lost streamers, so are people really paying for, I don't know, the Mandalorian and the Marvel show and the other thing?
But the point is that they're claiming that they're making money, that this is a successful business
exactly
model.
They said it.
Actors,
I want to hold them to that.
Writers are saying, why are we not getting any residuals, or why are we not getting?
Why are we
as
getting
much?
less for being on?
And there is zero transparency because there's no commercial element. So when it was streaming, when it was cable, when it was commercial
TV,
television, whatever, you had to show something, whether it was ratings, whether it was whatever, to say, this many people watch this show, this many eyes are on it, that's why I can charge you what I charge for the commercial. Streaming isn't really there yet. They're trying to get there, but if it gets there, then they got to get transparent about viewer eyeballs.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It unlike cable, streaming is basically on demand, so it's 24/7. If I had a show on cable and you caught it between 7:30 and 8, and there was advertising and eyeballs saw it, you might get paid. Now it's anytime. Somebody at 1 a.m. can watch it. Somebody at 11 in the morning can be watching it somewhere else, all the time, every time, and that doesn't count towards anything.
Right.
When you look at the history, one thing I was going to add to the Gilligan's Island kind of analogy is Shatner was living in his car in 1970, 1971. It didn't pay any residuals, and I think he made about $500, a week, $600 a week doing Star Trek. And when he heard the earnings report that on the syndication they made $10 million on that and the lunch boxes and all this stuff, he was like, I'm living in my car. Can I have some part of that? One of the reasons Leonard Nimoy didn't want to come back at first and they had to settle with him is he went and he goes, okay, let's take a look. If anyone could go and film you doing your job, you're an accountant, they film you accounting or they film you repairing something. Sure. If that film of it could generate the same amount of money for that company as you being there, don't you think you'd be owed something? Don't you think they would pay you? And immediately it's like, well, if it's my face on the lunch boxes, you want me to be the face of this character, and you're making millions of dollars now, why am I living in my car? Now, the same thing has happened again. With streamers, you've seen the price of everything go down for us, and yet they'll do a ratings thing where it's like, well, we made $12 billion on Netflix, in subscribers, and things like that. Well, why is my check $1.16?
Exactly.
It's on 24/7, and they're happy. Like I one of the reasons my film is not on Netflix is it's really where independent films go to die, and I'll tell you why. Netflix pays you at the end of the run, not when they acquire your film. So they can offer you $10,000 for it, $17,000. You give it to them, they hold it exclusively. You can't use it anywhere else for 3 years, and when it's done with the run, then you get a check. So you have to stay in business for 3 years with no income, not able to show your movie anywhere else because it's a Netflix exclusive. Who can survive as a little indie doing that? And then they give you nothing for it. Like, that's it. That's all you get. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised, given their film release.
Yeah, and I do want to, one comment I want to make about this is we see what's happening with the stock on Disney. Yeah. And it's like, look, we know when you do an earnings call and you're putting your best foot forward, you want to make investors think you're doing well, but the reality is you're just rearranging cookies on the plate to make it look like more. Yeah. That's really all it is. And you need to, if you're going to negotiate, you need to negotiate in good faith. Yeah. I think you can't have it both ways. You can't get all the investment dollars and puff yourself up and then not pay the talent, right?
Right.
You either have to say, you know what, we're hurting. I'm sorry, we can't afford to pay you what you want to be paid.
Be upfront about it.
We're kind of going out of business, but that also means that, you don't get the investment dollars, or you do it the other way around. Well, I got to pass on the investment dollars to my talent. You get what you pay for. Again, economics 101, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is my channel, those people that are, and I do have another video coming out pretty soon, the next installment of my D&D story, which is all AI art, all AI voices, except for me narrating. It kind of sucks. I mean, it's okay, it's good, it's an enjoyable story if you look past it, because let's face it, there's some independent, not your stuff, but other independents are putting out stuff that looks terrible, the acting is terrible, but the story is really good. So you can forgive all of that, right? That's what I'm hoping people do with some of my content. Right. If I had the money, like I said earlier in the stream, I could pay for actors and I could do and whatnot. But that's up to people noticing me first.
That's my core business too, though. That guy that reads audiobooks, or the guy you hear doing the voices or doing the cartoons, if that goes away to AI, that was my job. Like that's the thing I do. That's the thing on my resume for the last 25 years. It's not like I can lateral, to something else. Oh, I see you did the voice of, this thing, and perhaps you'd like to operate this forklift or something. And it's not like I can lateral to it, but that was my job. And I was at a party recently, and a guy was saying, "Oh, I just finished my book, and I'm just going to put it into AI and read it out." And he kind of looked at me, and he just saw me die in my eyes. Because it's like that was something that for $500 I would have read it for you.
Yeah.
And AI doesn't.
And better. And better.
Feel it. The AI is not enjoying your book while he's reading it.
Right.
Or she, or whatever the voice you're using. It's not enjoying the piece. It's not feeling anything in the piece, so it's not going to bring it. It's going to be whatever the algorithm is. It's going to say the words, but it's just predictive.
Yeah. This is what I've discovered, just to give an insight to someone who's actually used these, and I call it AI. I'm doing the air quotes because there is no intelligence involved here, right?
Right.
And I think everyone that has watched those couple videos I put out about the D&D story kind of know the inflection isn't perfect. It's not quite right. And there is no way to tell it. No. I want you to put the emphasis on this word, and this is why. Now, I could totally see a programmer figuring out how to do that. Right. I do see a day where a director could directly
programmer,
exactly, through a program, but now you got to pay the programmer instead of the voice actor. Right now it's still easier to just hire
just have us do it. We
enjoy
it, and we'll bring something to it. If I'm reading your book or reading your graphic novel and I'm enjoying it, I'm creating the character and I'm feeling it as you do it. If
right.
You're never going to feel it. It's
and that
was really good.
And that's why I real quick want to send up, you have an audio series on your YouTube channel where you're doing the Flash Gordon story and so forth. And you have your
and Scrooge and Dracula.
And and you have your troupe of actors, doing the voice acting and stuff. And it's just brilliant. Some of it's clever, very funny in your particular style and whatnot. And it harkens back to those days of radio dramas, that is sorely missed. But you still need a person to do that, whether it's the human being, playing the role as an actor, or the programmer. And I said this about CG animators, or even traditional animators. They are the actors, right? They have to. There's a story that came out of Lucasfilm when he was doing the prequels. Yoda, when they made him a CG, the first release of that, everyone was like,
that's not the same.
This is terrible. And they went back to the CG department and they're like, look, we're missing the Frank Oz element.
Yeah.
He had a hand inside of a puppet, so they completely redesigned the CG as though it was a hand inside a puppet. They put the flop in the ears and the stuff, and they got Frank Oz in to look at their animation.
Yeah.
And they literally they're reinventing the wheel is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Instead of the puppet being a physical puppet, it's a CG puppet.
Yeah, it doesn't allow for the happy accidents. The best stuff that happens when you're creating something for people and you want to entertain them is finding these little happy accidents and allowing them to happen. That's not going to happen in something that's following a program or an algorithm. You can pretend, it can feel like it's trying to be random or whatever, but it isn't. It's all calculated, and it's not feeling anything. And I think we feel that on some level too. It feels cold. It doesn't feel organic. And the idea of faking organic is it's not exciting to me. It's like, okay, so 3 steps removed, some programmer somewhere, grabs my voice, has me say things what they think I would say or whatever. Well, they'll never know what I could have done.
Right.
What I want people of, or the happy accident of some goofy thing can happen when you're doing it. And you're like, that's it. That's exactly what it needs to be. A mistake may be exactly what you need. And they can't. Yeah, AI used to resurrect deceased.
So this is I brought this comment up for a specific reason because I want to bring it back to what we were talking about earlier. Again, I feel like this is just fighting the same argument, same fight over again. I don't care if it's your face on a lunchbox or your face as an actor, a virtual actor in a future film. It's still your likeness.
That's right.
You should that argument should already be done, in my opinion.
Common sense, and think about this: if we keep revisiting the same images, if we keep having new movies with Marilyn Monroe or new movies with James Dean, where is the training ground for the next round of people? Exactly.
Where's the next Marilyn Monroe? Right.
If we keep revisiting an AI creating bands that already existed, where's the going on the road, learning your craft, playing songs, and where are those next people going to come? Are we going to create a great gap where all of a sudden you see our culture and then it runs into a wall in like 2021 and you're like, why isn't any kids playing music anymore? Why are there no new actors in movies anymore? Why do they keep visiting the same images and the same music?
Exactly.
All the time? It was better then, which is why we're going back to it. It's like a lot of pop music was more complex. It has key changes and things.
I am shocked by the young kids, the new generation that know movies and music.
Is older music.
It's like, how do you even know about that? Oh, this is great stuff. My parents introduced me to it, or someone else did, and it's like
he ran out one time and said, "Dad, they're actually playing their own instruments. These guys wrote this and they're singing their own song." And I'm like, yeah, it's the Beatles. But
I gotta say the old joke that everyone always it's become passé now. I used to make the joke, Paul McCartney was in a band before Wings. And now the kids are going, Wings? What's that? Who's Paul McCartney?
Exactly. And that's the problem. Paul grew up in a time where they could play in Hamburg and they could hone their craft for 10 hours down there, playing their hearts out, listening to other styles, incorporating it. Do we really want to cut that off as an avenue, not just for me as a generation, but the people coming up before, after me, that look to us and go, what's the incentive to learn to play an instrument? You can just create it on AI and you can just synthesize a song with that. Why do I learn to play the guitar?
Yeah.
Why do I learn my craft on stage to become an actor if all the movies are going to star James Dean?
Yeah. And that's
dangerous.
And that is, we just passed last week the anniversary of Marilyn Monroe, and you mentioned her. If we're going to CG her, and look, she was victimized throughout her career.
Yeah.
And it looks like they want to do that to people going forward. And that's just, on a moral level, I just consider that wrong. Yeah. But on the same token, if we had CG a decade, 2 decades ago, we wouldn't have Sherilyn Fenn. We wouldn't have Ana de Armas. Yeah, these are the new Marilyn Monroes that we wouldn't
They
have.
have something to say, and they have something to contribute. Why would we cut that off by just being recursively visiting the same image, the same thing of what, not even what that person thought of, but what a programmer thinks Marilyn Monroe would do.
Right.
You know, it's not even something she came up with. It's a dangerous. There's never in human history been a time where we've removed the thing that makes us human, and that's the arts. We've removed the joy of creation, and we're celebrating it by, oh, you know, everybody can create. No, it's not the same to put text in and go, give me a picture of a window with a thing, versus the discipline of, I'm going to learn how to paint this. I'm going to learn how to take a photograph and actually make it look right. I'm going to learn a play. Why does this movie work? Those experiences, if we deny it, then in a weird way, we have freed ourselves from the good stuff and we've left the mundane stuff.
There is a value in that understanding. I mentioned it earlier, where there are things that we understand on an instinctual level that we can't put words to. And
That's
people like yourself and Script Doctor are able to, because you've studied and experienced and you bring that to it. I as a viewer may not be able to verbalize it. You better believe a computer can't. A computer can look at all the examples and regurgitate, well, this
it's predictive text. It's just
and anyone who's played around with this CG knows. Okay, trying to get a good AI picture, and you get some great stuff, and then you'll see like somebody with like 3 fingers that don't, or an extra arm or some stuff like that. Yeah, and so you have to go in Photoshop and fix that up and stuff like that. You still can't take the human element out of it. And I get that someone could go in and say, look, unless you're programmed to add extra limbs, humans only have 2 limbs, they have 10 fingers, and they could fix those things. But the fact is, at this point, it can't happen, and I still believe that art cannot be separated from the soul.
True.
And a computer does not have a soul.
It doesn't feel anything. I always say AI needs to have its heart broken before it can ever write a song. And it's not going to happen.
So I know our time is very short. I want to bring this to to laser focus on the current debate. I saw, by the way, again, make sure everybody is subscribed to The Real Deal. That's REEL, Real Deal,
like
with Tom Konkle. Play on words there. It's a homophone.
Yep.
If you don't know what a homophone is, look it up. Google's your friend.
Look it up. Yep.
I'm not using big words here, but you may not use it in your daily life, right? So you had up, and this is actually what triggered me to say, hey, come on the channel, let's talk about this a little bit. You were on the picket line, so to speak.
Yeah. I've been many times.
So when you, and I said this in my monologue, you are on all sides of this in a way. So, as you were carrying the sign, what hat were you wearing at that point?
Well, I'm in all the guilds. As a director, I feel for writers of creating the blueprint, actors of the delivery system. I walk.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I gotta interrupt you to bring this up. A homophone? It's a big. Sir Torrin.
Bigoted against phones.
Yes, exactly. I hate those phones. Those MFers. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Sir Torrin's good people. He knows what he's saying.
You have the best chat.
I do. Thank you.
The time, I've been walking as a writer and as an actor, and here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's got to be a deal that works for everybody. When I go out to the picket lines, it feels weird because you're walking outside of the place that you normally walk into work.
Right.
And all of a sudden they're the enemy in a weird way because they created this antagonistic thing instead of going, you know what, let's just talk, figure this out. We changed our business model. And again, as I say, it's not just actors and writers. Everybody listening, everybody involved in this Your job, it's the same thing. If your boss or the company you're working for does not value you but sees you as a liability, they're going to come after you when technology allows it to go. You know, if Troy, you're doing your job and a guy comes in, hey, well, I got this AI that, you know, doesn't need approval, it doesn't need to be fed, and it works 24/7. This bottom line is, well, yeah, if I don't have a job, how am I going to buy your stuff? How am I going to buy stuff that your company makes? How am I going to feed my family? You've got to think, should I be doing this? Not what's most efficient. And when you have it divorced from any kind of morality, as you said, the soul, then it's like, well, yes, the most efficient thing would be to get rid of humans. They're messy. They want things. They need love. They need comfort. Let's get a bunch of machines. But the end result is you've got a bunch of machines serviced by machines, and you've got all the people that no longer can afford the goods and services that you're creating. That's what actors and writers are saying. You want our stuff, and believe me, there's lots of guys like you and me that want to write stuff that isn't this woke stuff, that isn't bad writing. But we have to get through the very gatekeepers we're negotiating with to get permission to make this stuff. I've got Island in the Stars, which is an old school classic adventure movie. The only way I'm getting it made is independently. I'm having to go to Australia to make it because everybody here is like, well, you know, how come everyone's not in a wheelchair? You know, or why aren't people
right? Exactly.
And I just say the truth. I'm like, well, that didn't speak to me. That's not what this thing is. There's nothing wrong with you having that. But diversity, true diversity, is also having ideas that I like. Also having ideas that another segment of the audience might want to see. It's not monolithic by definition. It would be too ironic. Well, it's diverse, but it's all got to be this one thing. And that's the sort of thing that we're up against.
It's not diverse, exactly.
That's the antithesis of diverse. I want a big tent where everybody can have an equality of opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's what we're asking for as actors and writers. We're just saying, look, if you want to use our stuff 24/7, but you're also implying a machine can come in and replace us, then you're saying we're of no value, we're a liability.
Right.
We want to say to you, you need to act like what we're giving you that's creating your wealth is worth something. And it needs to be scalable. It needs to be scaled to what you say you're making. If you're not doing well, tell us. Hey, that show didn't do as well. Your residuals are not going to be as big. But if this other one you're trumpeting is like, hey, Stranger Things, man, that made us $40 billion over the same. Why are we making zero when we're making the show? You know, and that's the problem is the middleman, the person that takes it from you and says, thank you for making that, is saying, well, but it's best if we keep all the money.
Yeah.
But you have more. Can you give us more? Oh, are you starving? Oh, that's too bad. Give us more. And that's the problem, is that now it's gotten off balance again, just like all these companies, where you look at the very top making all this money and decisions and social engineering and coming up with everything they want to do, taking on all these causes and stuff because they're millionaires and they have plenty of time. But all the middle class people that
it's easy to be a socialist when you're rich.
Yeah, it's champagne communist. And so that's the thing.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make you get political, but,
but no,
thank you.
I'm saying that we simply want to come to the table and go, you know what? Treat us like we're valuable assets. There's going to be things we ask for. You go, nope, we can't give you that, but we can give you this. But don't come at us like, a machine could replace you. Because that's everybody. You could get replaced by a machine. That's not a human answer to a question. That's not what I call sustainable capitalism. Sustainable capitalism is somebody like me going, you know what? I'd love to do a show for you. I'll write that show. Let me make enough money to eat, to have a roof over my family, send my kid to school, because that kid will turn around and buy your products. But if we're in starvation mode the entire time, everything becomes a luxury item.
By the way, and we're being oblique here. I'm not going to be too specific, but speaking of sending your kid to college, salud on that. I know,
absolutely, yeah. Proud of that.
I super appreciate that. But you said one thing that I wanted to zero in on. You said we are a liability. You as the producer of product that they are making money on is the liability. I've heard this from and I don't expect you to have any necessary insight on this. This is all rumor, speculation, and stuff. But I've heard a couple YouTubers talking about Henry Cavill and saying, I'm wondering if he's blacklisted because he's a fan of the products that he's a fan of Superman. He's a fan of, what is it, Warhammer. He's a fan of The Witcher and so forth. And so he's a liability. We don't want to work with him.
Yeah.
And honestly, that cuts to what you were saying as really all writers and whatnot, and all fans too, that they are vilifying and calling istophobes and everything for whatever reason because you don't like what we're Look, every article that I see that says the fans are the reason that this failed, well, in a way, yes. You put out a product that sucked, that we didn't want, and we didn't buy it. That's capitalism, pal.
You're entitled.
Yeah,
I'm sorry you liked it. You didn't. Look, if you put out a crap burger and nobody buys it, you could blame the people that didn't buy it. But I'm going to blame you for being stupid enough to put out something that nobody's going to buy.
You know what it is? It's a huge shift, Troy. It's a shift in the last 20 years. Before, we were the oddballs who were nerds. We were geeks. We wanted to get into doing this thing, and we would put stuff out, but we tried to appeal to as many people as possible because we wanted to entertain them.
Right.
We would even tamp down some of the craziness because we wanted to make it popular.
Yes.
Remember the term popular entertainment? Well, now, for some reason, the geeks and the fringe, some of us have been pushed to the side, and now you have this kind of activist version of it where it's like, well, if you don't like what I have, then you're wrong. The customer's wrong.
That's fine. You go broke. That's the response.
Yeah. It tells you, oh, no, this is good for you. We're going to make you do this. You have to conform to what we want because this is good for you. We know better. It's never been like that in Hollywood before.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely right.
Yeah, because he was like, this isn't the thing that I think the show.
And I think this is exactly why he has such a great fan following. The fans look at him and say, "You're one of us."
Exactly, and he is. He's the.
And look, I have made this again, getting a little political here, so you don't have to agree with me, don't have to say anything. But I've said this many times. This whole intersectional thing where I need to see myself on the screen. I don't friggin' want to see myself on the screen. I don't want to see some fat, bald Italian guy as the hero. I want to see Henry Cavill.
Right. It's normal.
You know? But when we see Henry Cavill in his interaction with fans on social media and so forth, showing that he's a fan, he's one of us.
Yes.
He happens to be very attractive.
Yeah. That's his
but he's still one of us.
Yeah.
And look, he's a muscular young guy with a full great head of hair. If I tended towards that way, I'd be like, I'd be, like that Star Wars girl. I'd climb that all day. I mean, that's the adult content mentioned by the AI at the beginning, by the way, folks.
Excuse you?
No, if I was, you know more than anyone that I'm not, right? But so by the same token, how could I not also relate to a black actor, a white female, a black female, a lesbian female? Look, all of these people that embody some quality in their character that I respect,
right?
I'm gonna root for. I don't need to pretend to be that person.
That's right. No normal person walked out of Blade 2 going, "Oh, if only he wasn't black." No one.
Oh my gosh! I'll bet you zero people ever said that.
No friend of mine ever would
because
say that.
No bigot went to see the film in the first place.
I know, and those aren't our people. Like obviously there's going to be fringe, but you don't plan for the.
One of these days, I'm probably going to do a stream about Blade and talk about him because he got done dirty by. Yeah. Everybody, the industry, by the government, tax law,
I ran into him in a couple of parties. I got to talk to him for a while. He's an interesting guy. He's very laid back.
I follow
completely screwed over.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes. I follow the Robert Barnes was the attorney who represented him in his lawsuit, so I have some really good insight on his case. And that's a very political thing. That's something, if I did a stream on that, we'd probably do it on Rumble, but I'm getting kind of sidetracked. But it does come down to understanding your audience and connecting with them. Look, Tom, you are a maestro of that. You have the reason that Netter and I are such loyal fans is because you not only put out a great product that we enjoy, you entertain us, but as a person behind the scenes, we are fans of Tom Konkle personally.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. I try to be authentic to myself. I'm just a guy that loves doing this stuff. I'm just like you guys. I'm grateful every day that I get to do it. I'm trying to master it. I'm trying to do the best I can with what I've got. And at the end of the day, I'm doing it because I do want to make you and your wife happy and enjoy it. I mean, that's the point. We're not curing cancer here. We're just making you smile, passing some time. I just want to make a living at it, and I just want to make more. I would die happy if I left it behind and you guys like, a couple of things Tom did I really like. That's fine. That's exactly what you want to do.
As long as you're remembered, right?
Yeah. Some kind of legacy.
Netter and I try to put you on a pedestal, and every time we do that, you come down and you shake our hand, and you're like,
"Oh, absolutely."
Yeah, no. Yeah, thanks for liking what I do. I suspect if we lived in the same, if we were in the same state, chances are you and I probably would have gotten together for a drink by now.
Oh yeah,
I get that feeling by now.
Yeah, we definitely would have.
And that's what I say all the time. Is if you're ever in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area, if you're filming something in Chicago, you let me know.
Yeah,
I really don't want to come into Chicago proper if I can avoid it, but. Right. If you're in Illinois filming,
Illinois area, no, definitely.
But real quick, I gotta send up PJ of Orville Nation. He is a big inspirer of this channel. He always says we grow together. That's why. That's really why Netter and I do what we do, supporting other YouTubers and whatnot, really because of Orville Nation. So thanks for being here, PJ. And JPRPH, salute. Howdy, folks.
It's really kind of you to say. Thank you.
Just got in from work. Yeah. Good. I'm glad. See, this is what I mean. My people follow you. If they didn't hear about you from like Midnight's Edge or something else, they found out about you from me. Because
something I wanted to mention, Troy, is I'm getting ready to do what's called a crowdfunding thing. It's basically for Island.
Netter and I are there.
Yeah,
that's all you needed to say. We're there.
I'm launching on, August 29th.
Yeah, let him pitch it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm doing August 29th. I'm doing a crowdfunding round, and it's to be able to make what they call a pay-or-play offers to some of the talent that's wanted to be in my film, and some of them are pretty big names. And you have to have some money to secure them to go to the next level. I have a distribution contract for this thing, but I've got to hire a lawyer to look at it, and I'm on strike. So money is tight. So I'm doing a crowdfunding very specifically. It's for people that want to buy a ticket basically to the film now when we need the money rather than when the film's done. So I reach out to everybody in the group. It'll be an Indiegogo campaign for Island in the Stars. I'll come back and do your show. I'll be on Robert Meyer Burnett's show. Probably Midnight Edge, talking about the film. I'm probably going to bring in Vernon Wells, who's also in the film.
Vernon Wells is awesome.
Him here.
Yeah.
So that'll be on the 28th of August, and it's very important that this happen because we have legal fees with an entertainment lawyer. We've got all the admin of forming a company in Australia to do this thing because it's a completely independent production. And I've got some A-list people lined up, like legend Australian actors that all want to work with Vernon, one of whom might be reuniting with Vernon since the 80s.
I think I know who you're talking about, but we won't. Yeah.
And he's already read it and likes it. I just need the money.
Okay.
So that would be an interesting reunion.
Tom, I know.
Road, so to speak.
I know I'm a tiny, tiny little resource, but anything I can do, Netter and I will absolutely contribute, but
I would love that.
And we will share it out on our stream. We'll have you back if you want to come back and talk more about it.
What was the date of the launch?
August 28th, did you say? 29th.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my
Launch,
Thursday
it'll be a 45-day campaign.
Okay, because my Thursday things, so I have, the next one at the end of the month then would be 8/31. But if you want to come on either then or like the week after, we could talk about this and promote it.
So last week of August, first week of September. Okay.
I would love to.
I'll have Netta reach out to you on
Awesome.
I'll give her your email and whatnot. That's great. Do anything we can. So again, what's the name of the project?
The name of the project is Island in the Stars.
I know it, but I'm a little, so.
No problem. It's an old school science fiction adventure.
Promos for it are already up on your YouTube.
Yeah, there's some promos for it up. I'm going to have a Indiegogo page for it up. We will be basically trying to do the first round of crowdfunding to secure the people that have said they want to do it, but now it's pay or shut up. And it's also just forming the company, doing some of the admin and stuff. You're basically endorsing it, getting perks. We'll have all kinds of behind the scenes stuff. You'll have access. There's one perk where you can have dinner with Vernon. There are all these different great fun perks that we've tried to come up with to include everybody in the process. Like you can have your name or your likeness in the film at some level. There's all kinds of fun things that you can do. There's even a Facebook page, Island in the Stars, right now you can join that I'll send information to, and it's got artwork up and everything right now. If you want, I can give you that link as well if you wanted to put that.
Yeah, give it to us because I know Netter's on Facebook.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll do that.
But no, that's absolutely. This is what it's all about. So we excuse my language, we bitch and moan about what we're getting out of the big studios. And this is where the entertainment is now. It is the independents, right?
Yeah.
Working outside of that studio bureaucracy.
We're doing Hollywood style movies, but independently without the kind of oversight, messaging, or anything else that is really hanging up and why you're not responding to a lot of these movies. We spent 2 years working on the script. It wasn't workshopped. We didn't have like a brief of like, it's got to have this and this. We just said, what is the movie that 14-year-old us wanted to see?
Yeah.
What's the movie that we really wanted to see? And that's the movie that we came up with. I have a vision in my head of what it looks like. It's got a little bit of Master and Commander in it. It's got, the naval uniform.
Yeah.
It's got space pirates. It's got a quest. It's got all kinds of stuff in it.
The kind of thought that Gene Roddenberry put into Star Trek and George Lucas put into Star Wars.
Yes, it's that kind of level of thought where it's world building. I've thought about all the history of it. There's a lore to it that I think everybody's really going to respond to. And that is the whole thing. If we're going to stick it to Hollywood, then this is the way to do it, by creating something that goes above and beyond what they're doing. And you've seen independent movies come out and they kick butt now in the theater.
Yeah.
They're not in the Hollywood system. These are genre movies that we want to make that are just not being done anymore. You just can't push them through anymore because there's no interest.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on a second. Let me... I want to drop the... I did something wrong. Netter, can you go to the private chat and grab that link that he just shared and share it? Because I think maybe I'm just a little too fuzzy-minded right now.
It's like every once in a while I'll try to post a comment and it tells me something went wrong, won't let me post.
No, that's not the problem I'm having. The problem I'm having is when I go to copy it, it's copying more than the link that I want to... Oh, wait a minute. I think I
want me to try?
I got it.
I think I got it.
We got it, okay.
That's the Facebook.
I got it.
Yeah, maybe Netter. I'm not sure I shared it right, so go ahead and share that for me.
Okay, just drop the link.
This is why I got Netter and Boomer here, because they are my bouncer and my designated driver, because I get a little fuzzy by the end of the stream when someone's bought me a drink. That's just what happens. I sent
you a little preview, Troy, everybody in the chat. Just for you, though, you can take a look at the Indiegogo page has not gone live yet, but you can see how expansive this film is going to be. It's very ambitious, but together with your audience and my audience, we can make this movie. We have all the skills to do it. We got 40 years of experience doing this. This would be my next big feature, and I just want to see this movie.
Look, this is the kind of thing we talk about here, right? My audience, myself, a lot of the channels that we follow, we do a lot of complaining about what's going on in the entertainment industry, but guys, this is the opportunity to kind of fight back, but kind of put your money where your mouth is and support the entertainment you really do want. Look, we moan and complain about Disney doing live action remakes of all this, right. And we're going, look, why are you making Ariel a different race? Why don't you just do a brand new story taken from African fairy tales? Right. You know, they have legends and mythology too that can be adapted just the way Walt did with European stories. Do it, and people will love it, and no one will have a problem with, you know, the race, gender, whatever, as long as you're telling a new story. They can't do that.
They're being lazy.
Yeah. Exactly. They are being computers. Yeah. They are just regurgitating what went before. We have a bunch of humans acting like Chat GPT is what it really is.
Do you think they'll remake the remakes at some point?
You know, don't even get me started. But I keep pointing out, for all of the bastardization that they're doing to Star Wars and Willow and all this other stuff, keep in mind, when George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and these guys created those, they created something new. Yeah, George Lucas wanted to do Flash Gordon. Yeah, you're doing Flash Gordon now because it's public domain. But at the time, it wasn't, and he couldn't. So he says, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do Star Wars.
My own universe.
And it became this huge thing. You know, you need to do your own thing. Create your own thing to be George Lucas. Don't try to ride his coattails, Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah. You know, if Kathleen Kennedy is the voice of feminism, then she is the voice of women can't do shit except ride the coattails of men that went before them.
Yeah, and it's not.
That's the message she's sending.
Yeah, to have not flawed characters implies that if they did have a flaw, they couldn't rise above it. But also, Star Wars, as I just said, that was an indie film.
It was good, excellent point. Yeah. He operated outside of the industry, and he actually took flack for it. He changed things and did things that the industry didn't want done.
He didn't play ball. It wasn't developed at a studio and then was given to George to do. He came up with it separately as his own indie film, and he found somebody that believed in it who was willing to release it. But it wasn't developed by 20th Century Fox at all. They just released it.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm trying to do here. This is our Australian Star Wars. And Island in the Stars is exactly the spirit of creating a new adventure with new rules, everything new is old, and everything old is new again. And the reason it works is there's something primal in us that likes, it's the Joseph Campbell, it's the mythology.
Yes. Which, of course, the modern, neo-Marxists want to poo-poo the crap out of without even understanding it in the first place.
This is tapped back into that. It's very simple, and yet it's very elegant. I'm trying my best to make a good film that builds this world out, but it is something you just enjoy on a human level of the adventure. Everyone who has ever lived has felt like, okay, I'm living a life of quiet desperation here. It's a slow drip, but I'm bleeding. I need to go on this adventure. I need to take a chance. What am I doing what's my purpose in life? That's what this movie's about at the end of the day.
Yeah, now you got that song like, 'cause everything old is new again, dancing at church. No,
I've already shared it out on Facebook.
Yeah, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, if you join the Facebook, you'll get updates when the thing drops. When we're putting stuff out, but also we put articles up, and we, as we add cast members and things, they'll comment on it. So it's kind of fun to be on the Facebook.
I'm not even on the platform, so I'm going to have to count on Netter for all of that. But so I know I've monopolized your time. We're really past the time I promised you.
I'm having a good time here, though. It's great.
But we've kind of gone all around the universe here. Is there anything that I missed? Anything you want to say about the strike, the current situation, the industry that I didn't bring you to?
The strike, in a nutshell, is representative of everything that's happening right now in the West. We are seeing a gig economy come up where you're seeing a lot of companies go, well, you know what? We want to maximize profit, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But at the expense of, now profit is, well, we let 7,000 people go, so now we're in profit. It's like, that's not real profit. That's
certainly not sustainable, and the investors know it.
Exactly. I think this strike is just a sliver. It happens to be writers and actors. It happens to be us right now. Mm-hmm. But what we're really looking for is a fair deal where, as all boats rise, as you change your business models, as all of us see our jobs changing, those people that have the purse strings, or those people that we're creating IP for, or wealth, or creating things that they make money off of, those people have to address sharing the wealth, sharing some of the profit. We're not saying, everybody has to make the same amount. That's not at all what we're saying. What we're saying is, if you're going to change your business model, you can't then work on the software, if you will, from 30 years ago, where you're like, well, hey, if this was on NBC, you'd be making good money. Mm-hmm. Sorry, we don't do that anymore, because now what they're doing is they're going, well, we're NBC.com, so for $1, we'll sell ourselves our own series, and then we'll pay you out of what it's worth, which was $1. You cannot do this kind of shenanigans and then have any of us left in the middle class to buy your products or to do your stuff. So at the end of the day, we've all got to hope that the writers and the actors reach some kind of parity with this, where we get at least a fair deal, because the next labor will be yours.
So
that's when you come to the table.
So that means, and I want to cut through the politics on this. I think that the danger is, and we've seen some of the iconography, some of the signs people have been putting up, the with the fist and everything. It's like people look at that and they see neo-Marxist socialism, and it's like, look, I understand that some of the things that they're saying sound very socialist to you, but you have to understand socialism and communism, right? You have to understand how that applies. There's a capitalism side too. Do you understand capitalism? And it's like, look, capitalism is really just about, it's about the free market system, right? It's about paying for something, getting something, and the circle of life, financially speaking. And that may sound communist when someone says, I deserve my equal share. Okay, communism really is about, I don't deserve an equal share, but you're going to give everyone an equal share just because they exist. Whereas what this is very capitalist. It's, I deserve my equal share because I bring value. Right. I have a value-added effort and product that I present, and you are making money off of it. So we are partners in this business effort. Okay, like I said, the actors are the face that you see on the screen. You forget about the gaffer, the best boy, the director, the writer, the person doing the coffee, Kathleen Kennedy. Right. Everybody, is involved in this, and they all deserve. As you said, as the tide rises, all boats rise. As this movie does well, as this film does real well, this TV show, whatever it is, does well, everyone who contributed should do well. And correct. Yes, some people make more, some people make less, depending on what their contribution is. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel that this is where I think a lot of, hardline right-leaning capitalists misunderstand the collective bargaining concept. It's like, look, I am not the wealthy guy. I'm the workaday guy. Yeah. But all of us workaday guys working together, at the risk of sounding too Labor Party-ish, is we have rights too. And without us, you don't make money. And if you don't make money, we don't make money. We are in a partnership, whether you want to accept it or not.
Yeah, and if you're a capitalist untethered to morality, then that's another issue. And let's face
not just morality, just simple logic. Simple logic. You get what you pay in, right? If you are a publishing company and you have a bunch of people writing books by hand, logic says you spend the money to buy a printing press. Yes, that is industrialization, puts people out of work, but the job market shifts, and you still need people that write the book that gets printed on the printing press. You make investments in your talent.
That's
and
right.
You tell people, look, if I'm trying to think of an area there. I can't think of any, but if there was an area of filmmaking that was literally going away, like at one time, the people that worked with celluloid, right? Their job went away because they went to other. That's fine. But other people took up those jobs, or they moved into a different industry, and they continued working
those jobs.
And you can't do.
Move to digital.
Exactly.
But now we're suggesting eliminating the entire department or eliminating an entire segment. And doesn't it make for better employees if you run a restaurant, if they were vested in the restaurant,
right,
the profit of the restaurant, the ideas would flow versus, as you said, a more Marxist or communist. If they're sitting there with their hand out and they're going to get paid whether the restaurant does well or not, and they don't make more money or less money based on how they work, they're not going to be great employees. We're suggesting the exact opposite. If our show is doing well, then simply pay us as if it's doing well. If it's not doing well, there won't be residuals. Residuals are not automatic.
It's funny you say that, because the Marxist, communist mentality, they argue that it is, every employee is vested in and owns the company, so to speak. And what they don't, but the practice of it does never match that. The funny thing is that theory of theirs is more capitalist than they even realize.
Oh, exactly. It's basically shareholders. Yeah.
Exactly. And it goes back to this whole idea of being vested in the company and so forth. And it's like, I am a company guy because I believe in this company. I feel like I'm a part of it. They treat me like part of the company.
You're an asset to the company. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that is the thing. I think the last 5 minutes, we really just covered the main point that I wanted to get across, because I do feel like a lot of people look at that raised fist icon and they go, okay, these are neo-Marxist. And it's true, a lot of people that introduce those ideas, they probably are. But the overall fight here, that's not it. Don't get lost in the weeds.
Leftist, at the end of the day, even if the philosophy of a lot of people, again, we're a big tent. There's a lot of leftist writers and actors and things, but they're all welcome. But they are driven by a capitalist moral underpinning that is our country and our businesses at the end of the day. And so, if you only resonate with, the far left kind of approach to labor, you're going to end up burning down your own house, because at the end of the day, a moralistic sort of capitalist approach is going to pay dividends for everybody. They're going to be, like you said, vested in the companies. Writers and actors are going to be vested in creating the best possible product. We're going to get paid for said product. We're not going to be in starvation mode. But your jobs as well will be protected, because they can say, well, the precedent here is you can't use a machine to replace an actor or writer, so we're not going to use a machine to replace you. You know, and that's morally wrong. And if we do it, you play the what if game. Well, what if we do that? Well, then no one will have an income. Then no one will be buying our products. If we ship everything overseas and nobody has a job, who's going to buy the bicycles we're making in China?
I find that happening on my arguments on social media all the time. You remember Sesame Street? Let's play the game What Happens Next?
What happens next?
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And when you think it through, but nobody wants to do that. All they see is, and unfortunately we have raised a couple generations that are all, immediate gratification,
Right. Well, and that's our fault, I will admit.
Yeah.
And when we have had soft times, and so people are not hardened to the realities of the world, and they will be if we keep doing what we're doing.
Exactly, right. And unfortunately, there is a natural reality we can never escape. If you don't learn the easy way, you absolutely will learn the hard way.
There will be hard times.
No way around it. Absolutely.
I am hopeful. I really want to stick it to the whole system, though, because right now we could get a waiver as an independent person, make these films and show them exactly what's possible, and we can make good quality stuff. We don't have to please everybody, just enough people, and that's all I want to do.
And real quick, I want to say hi to I'm not recognizing this name, Shinatsky, who says they have done a terrible job building sympathy for the actors and writers. They keep pushing the high earners and not showing the working class and having them talk to build sympathy. So that's the double-edged sword, right? So the actors that you're seeing being interviewed on the mainstream media and so forth are obviously going to be the faces right. That you are used to.
Goes to only the big faces. They don't go to a guy like me.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right. I mentioned the gaffer, the best boy, and so forth, that are also
90% of us are that.
Exactly. And that's what I kind of wanted to highlight at least a little bit tonight.
Absolutely.
So
I appreciate it being given any kind of forum, because a guy like me who I've created movies and TV shows and I've acted and all this stuff, but at the end of the day I'm just a middle-class person struggling to survive.
Yeah.
And I'm caught up in all of this, and they're going to walk right by me and go to Bryan Cranston, who is a lovely guy, but he hit it big. He
right.
has great talent, but they're going to go to him every time, and you're going to go, well, wait a minute, this guy's got a lot of money. Yeah, he does, and good for him. I wish I had a lot of money.
And is he really necessarily saying all the things that need to be said?
No, not at all. He's saying through his own filter.
Right. And then what's even worse is then you end up with this girl who's playing Snow, well, I call her Off-White, but Snow White, who has all of her
alienating. Yeah.
And it turns people away from what and if you're like me, who can separate and listen to what she's really saying, going, okay, she is saying some good thing,s
right.
but man, she's being a bitch about it. I mean,
reason why writers put words into actors' mouths.
I mean, right? Oh, yeah. My mother said that when I was a kid. My mother taught me this. She said, "Look, you see these actors that you like so much? Those aren't their words. The writers write those words. That's right. You want to know what that actor is like? Watch the interviews they do, and they sound like idiots,
right? And that because it's a different part of the brain. Someone can be a very gifted actor and doing that, but it doesn't necessarily mean their political ideas are good.
Right.
It doesn't mean that they know their subject. They could play a doctor for 10 years, but I wouldn't want them to operate on me.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And not to mention that, but I say this all the time, and I think we all know this instinctually, but I think we tend to forget it. Don't paint all actors with the same brush. Netter and I have met a great number of actors at the different conventions and festivals that we've gone to and stuff, and they're not all left-wing wackadoos. Every now and again, like I said, there's one actor who I refuse to name because I don't want to out him, right. But we met at a Twin Peaks festival, and we had lunch with him, and he's like, I don't remember how the conversation got to this, but he's like, oh, you're conservative? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, that's so refreshing. So am I. And I can't tell anybody. And it was like, it blew my mind. And I'm afraid I might give away too much to that might,
Yeah.
but he played like kind of a bully on the show, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and you were like, I assumed you were, and he's like, no, I'm an actor, I'm playing against type. I'm like, okay, I get it, I understand, and
That's the whole irony. You wish it was as diverse as it could be, where you could allow for a bunch of different ideas,
right,
and everyone was treated with respect for them, and no one got shouted down or canceled or judged. That no one's 100% right and no one's 100% wrong on it. And that's the problem, is that it's polarized now and tribal, and if you don't talk to each other, you're never going to reach a thing. And that's what's
Absolutely.
happened with the strike. They're not talking.
Absolutely. So good. I'm glad that we were able to share this with my viewers. I have kept you way longer.
It's my fault, but I enjoyed every minute of it.
I know you have things you need to do. You have family obligations I want to let you get to. I'm going to start the wind down of my show anyway. So normally what I would do is I would say, hey, is there anything you want to pitch before you go? But we've kind of covered all that.
The crowdfunding coming up on the 29th.
We will definitely have you back, whether it's on Netter's channel or mine, to talk more about that. I will do. I promise you, in front of all of these witnesses, these 15 witnesses,
Right.
That I will do everything that I can to help support you, get your message out, and so forth.
That'd be wonderful.
But did you have any last words for us before you go?
Just thank you to all of you for having me here. I really enjoyed this talk. I will definitely be back. I'm grateful. The whole point of all this work and doing this is to hopefully have you guys smile or go, oh God, that guy's an idiot. I love it.
Sometimes I do that, depending on the film I'm watching.
That's why I do it. I have no pretension about it. I just love doing it. I love enjoying it through somebody else.
Check out Safety Geeks, by the way, speaking of that.
Safety Geeks you want to see really stupid.
Yeah.
Safety Geeks. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's worth it. It's a weird sort of trip that I've been on, but it's worth taking.
Good. I thank you so much. As deleted scene, boy, you're an awesome blue. Talk about somebody who works so hard and makes absolutely no money. If I could afford to, he'd be on my staff, but I have no money.
Yeah.
Please subscribe to special guest Bartender, The Real Deal with Time Konkle. Yep, the link is right there. It's in the if you're watching this in the future and you're not seeing I don't know if you see the chat later on, it's in the link below. Make sure you're following it. I'm sure he will be putting updates there about his upcoming projects. Whether he does or not, I will be talking about this going forward. You're following me on social media, so I will be doing it there too. So there you go. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And look, again, I will say, for my 15 viewers, and my tiny unmonetized channel, that you would grace us with this opportunity to talk to somebody in the know. Not rumors, not speculations, not this is real behind the scene. Yeah, exactly. So I super appreciate that. Thank you so much, Tom.
You. Take care, all. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye, man. So, looking forward, what are we going to be doing tomorrow night? We're on, and deleted scenes, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to count on you because I don't have my notes up to be dropping links. Tomorrow night, over on Big Al Presents, we are going to be watching High Road to China with Bess Armstrong and a guy with a big mustache. That is 9 Central, 10 Eastern. I will be providing the Cosby.
Is he a blue-blooded man?
I don't.
Reference to the show Blue Bloods.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Okay.
No, if anything, it is an opportunity to see what we would have gotten had Tom Selleck been cast as Indiana Jones, as was originally intended. So that is tomorrow night, 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Big Al Presents, and the link will be provided in the chat so that you can watch along with us. If you don't have your own copy, get your own copy if you enjoy the film, but I will be hosting it on Cosme so you can watch along with us. Sunday, Sunday is the big night because you want to start out on Deleted Scenes channel.
It's a deleted scene sandwich.
It's a deleted scene sandwich, right? Deleted scenes is the bread of the Sunday night sandwich, right? Because on deleted scenes at let's see, at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, his Unscripted, which is the 1 hour lead-in to Geeky Geezers, which is on this guy's channel. His link has been in the description all along.
Yes.
But we will be bringing you a lot of gaming news this week, isn't it?
Well, not a huge couple of huge things, but like a certain boomer shooter got released yesterday. So,
and some fans are not too pleased with a certain port of an older. Game.
That one, yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
The thing that got released yesterday, that's a good port, though. And I got some other things. I gotta tell you, I don't know what the mood is this week. I don't know if it's just me. It's like entertainment-wise, industry-wise, it just feels like.
Well, there isn't a lot of news. I think I kind of covered it all tonight by talking about the strike, right?
William Friedkin died, so we'll talk about that. Probably an Exorcist retrospective, but we'll get to that. I'm trying to think what else. Probably more strike news, and it's. I don't know. It's all kind of getting me down.
I'll tell you what. When it comes to this strike stuff, it needs to happen.
I know it needs to happen. I just wish.
Honestly, I think it's going to be the best thing. Not only for
talented people, also pay them instead of hiring non-talented people that yell at the fans.
And maybe on the other end of this, we start getting a better product. Because let's face it, the past decade or so, we've been getting shit out of the entertainment industry. We really have.
Oh, there's a new Korean drama coming to Amazon I'll talk a bit about. I'm telling you, Hollywood, get your crap together, or other countries.
Because other countries are going to start taking over the entertainment industry.
I've been watching this.
If you keep lagging behind.
I've been watching this Korean drama called, I think, Kingdom, and it's a period piece with zombies. And it shouldn't work, but it does. And I was just thinking, wow, I like the actors. I mean, it's, Korean subtitles with the actors.
Kind of reminds me of, we got the DVD of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Maybe. I haven't seen that.
And it was good. It was good. It wasn't as good as the book, but especially if you've ever read Pride and Prejudice, it's really best if you've read Pride and Prejudice and then you read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies or see the movie or whatever. But it works on its own too, but I like that idea.
Gotcha.
But so that's Geeky Geezers, and then back to Deleted Scenes for After Midnight, where his guest will be Big Al of Big Al Presents, who you'll be hanging out with on Saturday night for the rewatch of High Road to China. So there's that. Boomer, do you know of anything that's happening Monday through Wednesday?
Not so far, no. So that's nothing to my knowledge.
Okay. Netter, who's your guest for Thursday?
Samael the Infamous.
Samael the Infamous. So Samael has been a previous guest on this channel. I'm hoping to have him as a future guest as well. And he's a very right-thinking, politically minded kind of guy. He is the main driving force and Blue Wrench behind Lioness Exiled, Amira, who is on late Saturday nights. We oftentimes do raids from the rewatches over there. So he'll be on Netter's Network talking about himself, his channel, Amira's channel, other channels he's associated with. I think it'll be as I always say, when we bring you other YouTubers, check them out. You'll thank us later. If we like them, you'll probably like them. If you're here hanging out with us, you're probably going to like a lot of the stuff we like. So there's that. That's Thursday night on Netter's Network, which brings us to next Friday. Just before we went live tonight, I lined up a guest for next week. I feel like I haven't had enough toy related content on my channel because, let's face it, I love toys. I love action figures. I do a lot of custom stuff. I talk a lot about some of the new and old toys that I've enjoyed. Well, you all know that Michael of Retro Blasting, he's been on a couple times. I'll tell you what, I get the most views when he's on. Well, I'm bringing on another, fan favorite, someone that I'm a huge fan of in the toy community. I'm bringing in Tony of Analog Toys, formerly a British expat, now living in Australia. So I guess now he's Australian technically. The Desert Rat of Valaverse will be a guest on my channel next week. Unless schedules you don't work out, but right now he's committed. I've already started making up the thumbnail, so that will be next week. Toy talk with Tony of Analog Toys right here on Last Call. Be interesting to see what he's sipping on. But there we go. And speaking of the toy community, Tim Hayes has just joined us. I'm sorry we are wrapping up, Tim, so you might want to do a rewind and watch from the beginning if you want to hear the main topic. We are kind of talking about what's coming up, and next week is Tony of Analog Toys. And so that brings us, we're going to go week and a day. So what is next Saturday on Retro Cinema, Netter of Netters Network?
Casper.
We're going to be watching Casper.
Oh yeah, there's some good cameos in that movie.
Christina Ricci, yes, yeah. I won't even mention them because I don't want to ruin them. But Christina Ricci and Devin Bonsoir and whatever happened to him, I don't know. But we will. It's another one of those movies that it's definitely a kids type movie, but
hey, what's funny
better than you remember.
Christina Ricci thinks she did a crappy job of doing the movie. She says she looks back at it and she cringes because she's like, I just pretty much phoned it in.
I thought she was adorable in that film. I think
she said she was like 16 or 13 or something, and she's like, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of walked through it.
And she did a great job. I love that movie, and we'll be talking about it a week and a day from today. So,
okay, cool.
That's it. Agent Boomer, any last thoughts? Anything you wanted to say about the strike or whatever that we didn't get to? Or
I was going to bring up real quick. Remember the whole Bill Nye thing about he didn't make money off the VHS copies because he got screwed by I think Disney, whoever owned it at the time.
That's not cool. Yeah.
No, and then he went to a judge about the streaming stuff because it stuff's being streamed. He's still not getting any money, and the judge, we count that under the under home video, and I'm like, no, that's not home video. Streaming is a different animal.
I do appreciate any judge, anyone in the legal field that tries to tie it back, right? Because I said we fought these battles over and over again, right? We shouldn't have to keep fighting syndication, home media, cable, street.
Fine.
Every time there's a new technology, I'm sorry, it's basically still the same thing. It should fall under the same laws. And so I can appreciate a judge saying it should be that way. Unfortunately, it's not. It requires either an agreement or a law or it would have to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would have to say, well, how is streaming any different from home media? It is. It's the same. You deserve to compensate them, but that's not going to happen. The front line is the picket line, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I'm going to also say, guys, you want to blame the people that go on strike for holding up your movies and whatever. You know what? They did try to negotiate before they went on strike. If everyone was, and this could be their fault as much as the studios, but look, if you negotiate in good faith, you never have to get to this point. It got to this point. So this is what happens. So there you go. Agreed. And is there anything else that I'm missing before we wrap up, Agent Boomer?
No, I think you covered it. I don't know. I just had a weird feeling this week. Maybe it's me. Maybe no one else is feeling it. But it's like, it's kind of like, it's like, it's like entertainment is feeling kind of dour right now, and I
well, it has for a while.
From, but
I'm hoping we're at the end of it and we're going to see a turnaround at this point.
Yeah. Right.
I get what you're saying. And Ned, are any last words from you?
Well,
I know there are last words.
If I'm going to be heard, I actually need to move in front of your mic, because otherwise I sound like I'm in a tunnel.
Fair enough.
So, y'all know what I always say. We can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well good and fun, but it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat, and you're dropping comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. It feels like we're hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a really great time. And you're not just our friends. You are our family. And I really do mean that. We love you guys, and we super appreciate you. And, you know, the thing is, you can be anywhere right now, and you choose to be here with us. And that is so encouraging. So thank you so much for being here, and we will definitely see you next time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this, Deleted Scenes. That's very encouraging to me. The episode of The Other Side of Midnight where Troy and I discussed Blade Runner and Dune is now the most watched episode.
Wow.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I love The Other Side of Midnight. It is a great weekend wind down, and you know, I don't think there's enough of that. There used to be some great radio shows that I used to love on late Sunday nights that I stayed up way too late to listen to. And I feel like The Other Side of Midnight on Deleted Scenes channel really takes that that niche now in the world. So, guys, thank you so much. I super appreciate every single one of you. Honestly, I love this community. I really do. You guys have... look, to get someone like Tom Connor, Tom Connors too sometimes, but Tom Konkle, you know, to come on this channel, he doesn't mind that it was just 15 viewers, you know, and honestly, I don't either. You guys are the regulars. You guys are why I do this, you know. And you guys seem to enjoy the streams when I'm drinking. So by all means, if you wanna get me off topic, if you wanna hear me sing a song, if you wanna get me a little bit sillier than I usually am, you know, the link's up at the top if you want to buy me a drink. But guys, you don't have to, because I just love hanging out with you guys. Thank you so much. And you know what? Hope to see you on the next one. Take care.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.